Each other, and we look around you, it's a very diverse group. We have representatives from the local government, we have representatives from NGOs and advocates, we have representatives also from the academy. So throughout the day, I hope we also not just learn from the resource persons that will be joining us later, but also from each other's experience.
Green program of the Department of Budget and Management. So the program, technically it's called the Local Government Support Fund, Assistance to Cities, specifically for the aims for the development, dedicated for the development, the photo as well of the Iloilo Esplanade. Because this is one of the PWH, but there was a clamor for development of an esplanade. So instead of moving vehicles, the city government of Iloilo prioritized the creation of public open spaces through an esplanade. So we dominated by informal settlers. The river was really full of rubbish, and it's a dangerous place. But once they transformed this and prioritized the space for people, there's a lot. They initiated mangrove planting. There's a lot of businesses that flourishes along the esplanade. Also, businesses are rising. Property values are really increasing. And the former DBM Secretary, Benjamin Jokno, conceptualized the creation of a funding dedicated for the public open spaces. So it's the Local Government Support Fund, Assistance to Cities, and it's actually a parallel endeavor of the National Administration's Build, Build, Build program. So instead of Build, 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 we also have a Green, 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 to really complement on the hard infrastructure to create more green open spaces of this development. So it covers all 145 cities, and it's also part of the 2018 General Appropriations Act, or GAA, and it has an allocation for the 2018 budget of 2.5 billion pesos across 145 cities in the Philippines. And then on that time, the allocation was based on 50% land area and 50% population. 2018, we have received, out of 145, we have received 143 submissions. So these are the classification of the types of projects that the department receives. So majority of which are parks. So we have 61 parks from different cities. And next would be waterfronts. So because the Philippines is located in an archipelagic country, so we have a lot of waterfronts and coastal developments that is intended to be developed as public open spaces. Also, institutional spaces. So mostly these institutional spaces are government centers. Some of them are usually new city halls that are being created, integrated with public open spaces as well. Public squares and plazas, we have 20. Some of these are mostly rehabilitation of the existing plaza. Usually in the Spanish planning system, we have a plaza in the middle of the city itself, surrounded by the church, the city hall, and the other commercial centers. And also space, pedestrian walkways, and transport laybys. And lastly, interestingly, we have also mangrove parks. So we have 2 mangrove parks from Masbate and Mandaue. So I would like to discuss to you 3 examples of parks that we have encountered in really developing their design as well. Mangrove Park from Masbate, from the city of Masbate. They are actually the first city who received the funding last year. So they're very proactive, and they're currently 60% construction accomplishment. So their project is a mangrovetum project. It's actually funded by an international organization and in partnership with the local government and DENR. So initially, it was actually just a mangrove tree planting program. But then the city government of Masbate and DENR really want to create also a space for people to really enjoy the space, to really enjoy a series of boardwalks that connects different areas within the park. And for the 2018 fund, they expanded the area. So previously it was just one way of boardwalk, but now it's like a loop. So they created a loop with an octa park. If you can see this at the far end, it's an octa park, so it's an elevated boardwalk as well. And they provided restrooms. There's also a souvenir shop. And it became actually a tourist destination for the city of Masbate. Because if you the Eco Park, apologies for the technical problem, but this is also an interesting project of CPO, because this space is actually a landfill area. So you're familiar with Cagayan de Oro. This is actually very congested city. They have very limited space. They don't have any enough public open space. And so the city government of Cagayan is very passionate in really establishing their own park. So it's located beside SMCP Lana, and it's also former a dump site. And they reclaim this space to really create an eco park. So a stormwater retention pond. So it really acts as well as a stormwater to sit in stormwater for the city itself. And they're currently doing the phytoremediation activities to really cleanse the soil. And currently they are undergoing construction for this. They just had their groundbreaking last May 2019. For the submissions of the park, and this is somewhat a flow chart of the development of how the back and forth of the review that the department initiated. Still over space for parking. So if you can see there's an empty lot, but the city government of Lucena really intends to create a space for people to enjoy that is publicly accessible and without entrance fees or anything. The space to create playground amenities for people. So even in a limited space, less than 2,000 square meters, they created a playground amenities for children, and they created actually rubber matting and also a space for other activities like Zumba, and mostly Zumba. It's mostly Zumba, especially for senior citizens, because previously they held their Zumba inside the mall. But now they're appreciating the open space that it can be accessible by all. And also, they created a skate park because there was a demand for skate park spaces. So, and because of the support and the enduring support of the constituents, the city government extends to develop the other side of the area as well. Last one is the project of Butuan City. So this is also this is actually a flood control project by the DPWH. So usually, most infrastructure projects, just for example, bypass roads or flood control projects, it's just actually, it's engineering work, but mostly it's just plain concrete. If you can see it, really congregate and enjoy the space. So it acts as a flood water retention. And it also, the space can actually be flooded, like 70% of the space will be levels, and then there's a lot of open spaces and flexible spaces that can really accommodate for the space. So it's ongoing, and we hope that we can see the progress of it in the future. Next. So for the BM extends the program and allocated 2.48 billion pesos. It also covers 145 cities, and we're currently receiving submissions from various cities. But the changes of this was actually the allocation. Previously, the allocation was just based on population and land area. But for the 2019, the department decided that there will be a minimum baseline for all cities. So we have 13 million for all, and then the additional funding would come from the population count. So at least we have an equitable funding for all cities. I'd like to end my presentation with it's a short video animation of the Green 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 program. So I hope you like it. Thank you.
Spaces where people can move, enjoy, and grow. This year, the Department of Budget and Management launches its 2.5 billion peso fund to provide an enjoyable urban life for all. 145 cities are creating places that give their citizens more space to connect and breathe. Through green projects, neglected parks will be refreshed, new corridors for mobility will be opened, and critical ecosystems will be protected. This brings new opportunities for all Filipinos to move better around their neighborhoods, live well as new places open for recreation, and grow together as we all move forward to an exciting and greener tomorrow. Green, green, green. Move better, live well, grow together. Visit the website to find out more.
Included the funding again for the budget. It's a part of the National Expenditure Program, or the NEP, and we hope that it will be passed and be included to have funding for public open spaces. So these are just initiatives of the department, and we want to really aim that public open spaces will not just be an aspiration, but will be a given for all cities and places in the Philippines. Thank you so much.